From the Sigma perspective, simplifying your life means cutting out everything that's unnecessary. It means dedicating your time and energy to the most important things. It means placing a high value on your time. And in this video, we'll look at how Sigmas avoid unnecessary complications. So without further ado, here are 14 ways that Sigmas simplify their lives. Number 14. They avoid being overly emotional. Emotional people can get triggered easily. They tend to lash out without thinking, doing things they later regret. We all know men who fly into road rage and often end up putting other people's lives at risk. On the other hand, you have logical people who have control of their emotions. Even when provoked, they respond to conflict in a rational way. For example, police officers or soldiers who are able to stay calm in the most difficult circumstances. And with practice, it is possible to take control of your lower impulses. Number 13. They stick to the plan. Following on from the last point, being an emotional person can make you prone to anxiety, whereas being rational creates a calmer mind. And not only are Sigmas more logical than average, but they're also the type of men who want to make the most of their time. Sigmas particularly hate wasting time on trivial things, so you'll often find that a Sigma lives by a strict schedule, allocating his time carefully in the most fulfilling way possible. Unfortunately, a lot of men create plans but struggle to follow through on them, like joining a gym and then never showing up. Number 12. He doesn't care about success. A lot of people put all their hopes and dreams into success because they have a bone-deep longing for higher social status. From the Sigma perspective, success is just efficient action. For example, a successful business consists of workers outperforming the competition. Success has nothing to do with how it makes you feel. The Sigma strips away all the unnecessary ideas about success. He removes all of the BS and all of the emotion. From the Sigma perspective, success is just a question of thinking up a good strategy and then having the willpower to execute it. And emotions play hardly any role in this process. Number 11. Life is simpler with some money in the bank. Everybody feels happier when they have a bit of money in the bank, and Sigmas are no exception. Who doesn't enjoy having a bit of extra cash? The problem is that Sigmas often dislike the typical work environment. They desire a degree of freedom that most employers can't offer, so they generally have two choices. Either they find a boss who gives them creative freedom, or they branch out and do their own thing. In either scenario, financial stability is a Sigma's top priority. He makes sure to budget and track where his money's going. These days, many people live beyond their means, and it puts them under tremendous pressure. Their financial woes even create subconscious misery. After all, your subconscious mind hates living below the poverty line, and it hates owing people money too, which is why Sigmas will rarely borrow. Number 10. Sigmas learn to fight. If you learn the art of fighting, it will affect your position on the social hierarchy. It's a primal thing. People show more respect when they sense you are dangerous. And a lot of guys are anxious because, deep down, they know that they can't handle themselves in dangerous situations. And they should be afraid too, because the ability to fight only comes about in one way: through experience. It's a practical skill like laying bricks or programming. The only way to learn is to practice. So learning an effective combat sport such as boxing or wrestling will simplify your life, even today in the modern world. These sports teach you how to knock a man out or to take him to the ground and subdue him. Now, of course, you don't want to go fighting on the street, and in the modern world, we're lucky to have mixed martial arts gyms where we can practice. It's got nothing to do with flexing like a tough guy. It's all about developing confidence in the subconscious mind. Number 9. He tolerates some disrespect. Alpha males see themselves as leaders. They don't tolerate disrespect from people lower than them in the social hierarchy. For example, a lot of men like to make insulting jokes about one another. It can sometimes be funny to hear this type of humor, but it's best not to insult alphas too much, even in a joking way, because alphas can often take jokes a bit too seriously. Understand that an alpha lives a life of constant testing, challenging and overtaking people he considers to be threats. It's a tough way to live. From the Sigma perspective, it also seems quite pointless. A Sigma can laugh off insults because he doesn't care about social status. He has the ability to let insults slide. He hardly even thinks about them, and an insult barely even registers, and definitely doesn't hurt his feelings. Number 8. Sigmas think before they speak. If you've ever worked blue-collar jobs, you will have met guys who talk too much. Nobody ever taught them the benefits of thinking before they speak. It's actually a life hack. Sigmas will take a few split seconds to quickly reflect before they speak. It helps them avoid saying things they might later regret. And this technique will simplify your life because it helps you avoid conflict. After all, saying the wrong thing to the wrong person can be a big mistake. Number 7. They think long-term. Whether we're talking about money or fitness or anything else, too many people want overnight success. They compare themselves with prodigies. But this is counterproductive. You should laugh at overnight success for two main reasons. Firstly, it's unrealistic. Most worthwhile goals take years to achieve. But secondly, overnight success would ruin most people because they simply wouldn't be able to handle it. We see this happen to young people when they get famous early, and more times than not, they end up going off the rails. Real progress happens slowly and takes years, like learning the piano. On your first day, you don't start with Beethoven. Small improvements show real progress because they are the result of the compound effect. Sigmas are always thinking long term. Number 6. Sigmas treat people fairly. Most people are nice and pleasant until you screw them over. Then they become defensive and can try to get revenge. It may sound obvious, but a lot of guys out there have disagreeable personalities. They mistreat people, creating unnecessary enemies. This is one reason why Sigmas treat people fairly. It's not because he's a moral saint, it just makes more rational sense. On the other hand, if you want to make your life complicated, and if you want a lot of unnecessary drama, then go ahead and screw people over. When they feel like they're being treated unfairly, they'll become combative, and that's how you make lifelong enemies. Number 5. They keep people at a distance. Sigmas normally think it's wise to keep people at a distance. After all, you never know who somebody truly is. Of course, it's a good thing to make new friends and to go out and meet new people. But for Sigmas, it takes many years before they really trust somebody. So until they know a person quite well, they tend to keep their distance. It also helps them avoid unwanted attention. And the truth is that polite but shallow conversation is sufficient for dealing with most daily interactions. There's no need to be overly familiar with strangers. It's fine to remain polite but slightly aloof. Number 4. He doesn't care about failure. Sigmas don't care about failure as much as other people because Sigmas never worry about social status. A lot of people fear failure because of what other people are going to think. They're worried about gossip, they're worried about their reputation. And a good example is the alpha male. Alphas hate failing because it makes them feel like a loser. But a Sigma could theoretically live in the lowest segments of society. He doesn't care about keeping up with the Joneses. Even if people gossiped about him, it wouldn't affect his self-esteem because he doesn't care about status. This attitude simplifies his life because he never has to worry about other people's opinions. Number 3. He stays detached. A lot of people claim to take antidepressants because they say the pills help numb the pain. In other words, the antidepressants help the person stay calm and not react so strongly to external events. But Sigmas cultivate this attitude naturally because they choose to never overreact. Take, for example, a self-defense situation. From the Sigma perspective, staying calm allows you to think with more clarity and increases your odds of survival. In fact, if you want to make your entire life better, you can just relax and consciously choose to react less. It's possible to cultivate this type of mindset. Most ancient religions spoke about detachment. They claim that detachment from worldly concerns makes you happier, and you can find a type of detachment in the Sigma mindset. Number 2. He judges people by their actions. If you want an easy way to simplify your life, forget what people say and instead focus on their actions. People's actions will give you a lot more information because actions are obvious, whereas words are vague. Sigmas watch body language and spot subtleties that help them understand your true motivations. On the other hand, a lot of guys seem almost scared to look at body language because perhaps they're scared of what they'll discover. Now, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you'll stay up to date with our latest uploads. And finally, number 1, he relies on himself. Sigmas rely on themselves because if they didn't, they'd have to rely on the goodness of other people. Sigmas hate depending on the government or accepting money from family. Plus, relying on other people sucks because it gives them power over you. Sigmas quickly work themselves into a position where they only rely on themselves, and that's the simplest way to live. Hopefully this video has given you some insight into how a Sigma simplifies his life. And largely, it comes down to overcoming emotions and instead seeking out rational solutions.